Activists gather in Geneva to push for tougher enforcement of regulations aimed at organized criminal trade of ivory.
Herdsmen and indigents in southern Kaduna look for a resolution to their conflict at a peace and reconciliation meeting.
And a famous Hollywood filmmaker backs an international effort to preserve the work of influential African movie directors. Africa 54 starts right now.
Hello everyone, I'm Chamberlain Osol at Channels Television here in Lagos. Welcome to you from two continents as we say hello to my colleague at Voice of America.
Yes, I'm Vincent McCory, Voice of America, coming to you from our VOA Global Headquarters in Washington. Up next, an effort language affects integration and productivity in Nigeria. Chamberlain has details on that story to start us off.
Well, that's right. Language barriers between states can affect economies in Africa. At the first of such international conference at the University of Lagos, Nigeria's French-speaking community advocated for adopting French as a unifying factor between Nigeria and its neighbors. Here's that story.
Had Nigeria been colonized by France, this anthem would have been understood by the average Nigerian. And not just these members of the Nigerian French language community who believe the country has a lot to gain by being more deliberate about their language.
When we talk of Organisation Internationale de la Francophonie, which is exactly part of the peg of this conference, and peace, they have been in forefront, getting the world to be peaceful. And we have known that from Senghor. Senghor happened to be a leader of getting that Francophonie on. Leopold Sedar Senghor was former president of Senegal. And we also know Bourguiba. Bourguiba is from Algeria. He was also part of getting Francophonie to be on. We also know Diori, Amani Diori, who happens to be the president of Niger Republic and very close to us. These are people who made effort to see that Francophonie exists and exists for peace.
The Nigerian Francophonie, which was established by proponents of the French language in Nigeria, laments the path of decline the language has taken in the country, despite the declaration of French as the second national language by the late General Sani Abacha over 20 years ago. One of the founding members and former chief executive officer of the French village in Badagry, Professor Samuel Ojo, makes a call for the consolidation of the position of French in Nigeria.
We all know how Nigeria is surrounded by Francophone countries. And it has been said that except the Atlantic, for the coast, Nigeria is actually enveloped by Francophone countries. So the need to accept French as a language that should serve as the second language of Nigeria was very logical, was very much needed, and our hope was that we were going to be able to key into that proposal that he made to make Nigeria acceptable to all Nigerians.
For another proponent of the language, former Director General of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, Professor Bola Akintenwa, Nigeria cannot dominate interactions on the international scene without embracing the language.
The necessity of having Francophone neighbors to the west, to the east, and to the northern part of Nigeria will sooner than later compel the Nigerian people to seek a better understanding of French language so as to be able to better relate with the Francophones. We are still working towards integration. For as long as we are working towards integration, there is no way the need for French will not be taken more seriously.
Discussions continue at the conference, comprising the older and younger generation of French-speaking Nigerians. They are hoping Nigeria will heed the warning before it finds itself isolated in discussions in the region and the wider world.
Let's pick up the conversation about efforts for economic integration in West Africa. And for that, we are joined now by Dr. Maduabuchi Okeke, who is a senior lecturer at the Department of Political Science, University of Lagos. Welcome to Africa 54, Doctor. Africa's development is at the heart of Nigeria's foreign policy, key to which is integration. To what extent would you say we've been able to achieve integration in the continent?
Well, there have been some good works in the prior world, but at the same time, these things have not been concretized in terms of, it manifesting into a proper integration for the entire African continent. So the level of integration in Africa today is very, very poor.
Now, the ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, was established to foster economic integration in the West African region. How much of this would you say we've been able to achieve over 40 years now?
Yeah, the case of ECOWAS is, at least today we can say without doubt that you see about the most successful regional economic grouping in Africa. But at the same time, there have been several hiccups to the actualization of an economic union in the sub-region or in the region as the case may be. If you look at the several efforts that have been made, there have been this effort to merge the currency for the sub-region, the French franc, with the effort that has been made by Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Liberia, the second monetary zone, and the final margin of the currency for the sub-region. That has not materialized. And there has been a parallel competition between the monetary arrangements between the Francophone and the Escudo and the dollar zone. But these things have been, inhibiting serious efforts by ECOWAS to bring about proper economic integration for the sub-region. Beyond that, there has been some macroeconomic problems in terms of convergence and stability, the Francophone and Anglophone divide, and a lot of other issues, including the effort that have been made by the European, the EU, and the Partnership for Africa that would have been needed by the West African community to be able to bring about proper economic integration of the sub-region. You have other issues like, the capital market in the sub-region, the exchange rate mechanism is very wide. There's also lack of awareness of the integration policies in West Africa between both the citizens and the other members of the community that are supposed to be in the know of the integration policies of the ECOWAS region.
Now, the proposed single currency for the region has been touted a panacea. So some of the limitations to economic integration, do you think there is sufficient political will on the part of African leaders to make this a reality? Most
of the West African leaders don't even believe that a common currency will bring about economic growth. So some of them, because of the nature of the economy in the sub-region, there's no, sub-regional economic integration. So most of them look up to their colonial masters for, problems to, solution to their problems. So they don't look at the ECOWAS as a major solution to the problem of economic integration. That is the major problem. Because of the monocultural economy of most of the countries in the sub-region as well, they don't also, have diversified economies to be able to bring about the kind of, momentum that will drive the economic integration in the sub-region. So that's a major problem. The political will to be able to bring out all these things to happen. It will go a long way to be able to, bring about common economic policy when you have a common currency.
Dr. Okeke, senior lecturer at the University of Lagos, thank you for joining us today on Africa 54.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation. The address is Africa 54. And check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, as elections loom in several countries on the continent, analysts here in Washington identify some key challenges to keeping these polls free and fair. We'll talk about all that after the break.